Okay, here's kind of what when I sit down, I'm thinking about a couple of other things too. One is I want to make our opponent's life as difficult as possible when we kick off and when they punt, because those are the things that we do the most. Again, whatever your mileage is there, whatever the two teams, three teams are that you use the most, you need to focus on those when you sit down and start game planning, because you're going to use them the most on Friday. Two, hidden yards. Better your defense is, the more important hidden yards are. The worse your defense is, I'm going to be honest, guys, their hidden yards really aren't that important because your defense is probably going to give all those hidden yards right back anyway. So for us, pretty stout defensively, I absolutely have to have the hidden yards. I track that stuff. I'm actually going to kind of hop out here and pull up a spreadsheet and show you guys exactly kind of what I do. And you can just export this data out of Huddle if you want. And let me blow this up a little bit bigger so you guys can probably see it a little bit easier. So every kickoff that we kick, I track how far we kick it, how far our opponent returns it, and where we tackle them. And I do that. That's the first thing I do on Sunday when I start watching film from the previous Friday. This is from a couple years ago, but this data to me is really important, and it's important to me each and every week throughout the season. This isn't something I do twice. I do this literally every week. I do it after week one. I do it every week until we lose. And this is data that I need to know all the time. So in this particular year, we kicked the ball 51 yards. So that's the 9-yard line. Our opponents returned it 15 yards. We tackle them at roughly the 25-yard line. I have that data with me all the time. I'm putting that data into Huddle anyway. So I typically just kind of export that, copy paste. Same thing with our kick return. Here's how far our opponent kicked it. Here's how far we returned it. And here's where we got tackled. So again, I need to know that information. They kick it 48 yards. That's to the 12. We return it 24 yards. We get tackled at the 32 and a half. And that's important to me in kind of, it's a self-scout thing, but it's also important to me in understanding where we are in relation to those goals I mentioned a couple of slides ago. That's information I have to have. I realize this isn't the prettiest spreadsheet, but look, I probably should have cleaned it up a little bit for the clinic, but for the most part, I mean, form follows function. I can do the super colorful tabbed deal, but I just don't care. I don't need that. I don't have it. I don't want to spend the time to do that. Here's our punt. Here's all the times we punted this particular season, 36 yards. That's not our goal. 2 returns, 7 yards, so we average 7, of course. And then here's our operation time, 2.35 in this season. Some good ones, 2.18 in there, 2.22, 2.17, but also some bad ones, 2.97. This was a rain game. So I keep that data all the time. And the same thing, punt block, here's how far our opponents kick it. Return yards. And since this year, I've added the column for disruptions where I track that in the spreadsheet as well. I just don't have it on this particular one. And then here's our operation time for PAT. I benched my snapper. That's why this is blue in this game. I benched my snapper and went to a different snapper. So, I'm always curious what our average is all the time, but I typically would exclude these sometime. When I'm looking after a particular game, 5 weeks later, my spreadsheet ends here. I want to know what my starting snapper's operation time is, more than I care about this kid that I put him in there because I wanted to make a statement because my snapper was being lazy. So there you go. That's kind of how I self-scout, so to speak. And I'll show you some more of that when we start running some of the huddle reports too. So let's hop back in presentation here. Okay,